Okay. All right. Hello, world. How you doing out there today? I should probably bring myself up on the screen here.
I was
Might
just gonna
help.
say, I'm only seeing myself.
Okay. Oh. Ah. Okay. It's on you. I gotta. Ah. Shoot.
It's on me. Oh, shoot. Hi, everybody. Have no idea what just happened. I think perhaps Kathleen got stung by a bee on the ear. That was in the news lately today. Welcome, everybody, to the BA Zones Live pre show. While Kathleen is doing something in the background there, hope everybody's had a great week, great weekend. Hope you all are all like done with the royal wedding. It was kind of cool though, you know, pretty great show going on there. Tonight's show is going to be about, is it possible for BAs in marketing and sales to get along? So we're going to walk through some of those organizational stereotypes, I suppose. So stay with us and we'll get going in just about 5 minutes now. Kathleen, I'm not exactly sure what you're doing. It was so funny. I went to lunch yesterday, and there was a table. This is just sort of a little pre-talk before our show. So we had lunch with a table, and there were two women and five or six guys, I guess, and we're having lunch, and we're talking. I brought up the subject of the royal wedding, and all the guys just kind of looked up, sort of at each other. I said, "Come on, nobody watched this thing." So one guy said, "Yeah, okay, I watched the whole thing." And then they all started to talk about it one by one. So it's pretty funny how they don't want to admit they were watching that royal wedding, but everybody was sort of into it. So it was kind of kind of interesting if you were getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to watch that. And I did not. I taped it so I could blow through some commercials and things, but it really was a nice time. And find out in a second. How's everybody doing? Please, if you enjoy the show, tap somebody, send it out to somebody, let everybody know that we're on this evening, and we're on every Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock. And we usually pick a subject for the month, and then deal with individual shows relating to that. And I can almost hear tippy tapping in the background.
Yeah, I think
Kathleen,
I
did
still have
you?
my hearing. The headset I was wearing, like, all of a sudden went super high pitched, and oh my god, that was a sound I never need to hear again. That really
I saw
hurt.
you. I saw you yank the
Oh,
thing out of your ear, and I thought, "Oh dear God, I hope she wasn't like literally shocked or something, like falling
I
off the
think that would have
chair."
been more pleasurable than that. Wow, that just went right through me. Whew. Okay, not fun. But there you
So,
go.
did you
Well,
watch any of the royal wedding?
no.
No. See,
You couldn't see some of you couldn't miss seeing some of the clips. I gotta close this door when the air conditioning kicks in. That's not going to work either. Hang on. But yeah, you couldn't miss it wherever you were. But I made no effort to actually watch it.
it was nice.
I thought they
You had
made
a beautiful day.
yeah, definitely. And I thought from what I read, it sounded like they made some nice homages to Diana and all. So that was good. Charles was a bit of a jerk for not mentioning her during his speech, but the boys made up for it. Alrighty.
He's
So,
actually a little more progressive than people think. He sort of looks stuffy, but he's not so much so. You know.
well, no, it's not about being stuffy. It's about, it's their mom and they're missing her on that day, and maybe you could acknowledge that, but okay, fine, be that way. Alrighty. So, I think I can hear.
Well, you don't have to hear tonight. Just speak.
Ooh. My goodness, that was not fun. So yeah, then over the weekend, we've got a minute here, yeah. So over the weekend, I was trying to fix something on the system and completely blew up our setup, which was great fun. So I spent the whole weekend trying to rebuild everything, and it looks like most of it's back. And it's not got nothing to do with the headset. That was just a bonus for today.
That's what happens when you try to experiment and play.
Well, no, I was actually trying to fix something, which has been a problem for a while, but
Did you eventually fix it? Misfix it?
well, at first I had to rebuild everything, and then yeah, I did end up fixing it, so that was good. But
There you go.
just frustrating to took, of course, 14 more hours than I had planned for it because I actually had other things I needed to do, but oh well. Maybe some other weekend. Who needs to do laundry?
That's right. Some other day I won't have to go out and buy underwear.
You laugh. It's been done.
I know. That's why I bring it up.
It's like, oh,
it's happened many
geez.
times. Actually, one of the guys that I work with, he always goes in the morning and puts the cream in his cup. This is a friend of ours that we both know. He puts cream in his cup first and then puts the coffee in. And I go, why do you do that? How do you know how much cream you're putting in? He says, I live alone and I don't want to clean the spoon. So he lets the coffee mix the cream, and I'm like, it's ingenious. It's pretty funny, but that's the bachelor life for you. I don't want to clean that spoon. I'm putting the cream in first. Too funny.
Well, so, okay, I've got a parallel story. I don't know if I told you this one already. So, allergy season is just killer for me. That's not news to you at all. But, I kid with people, and I'm not really kidding, but they think I am, that, when it's bad like that, I could be standing in a forest fire and not smell it because it just blows everything away. So the coffee at work is terrible, so I'm bringing my own. So I, fill up my travel mug and I throw it in my bag, and then I actually, put more coffee in it later, which is a whole other story. But anyway, so I get to work the other day, and I'm all set to pour my coffee into my coffee. It's a can of coffee. It's got milk and sugar and all that kind of stuff in it. And just a fraction of a second before I actually tip it to pour in, I realize something's not right. And I look, and the color's wrong. And then I realize instead of making coffee, I made hot apple cider, and I was about to pour coffee into that. Which would have been horrific. But also, that meant I didn't have any real coffee, because the coffee in the can that I add to my regular coffee is way too sweet for me to drink right out of the can.
And it's not like you need any extra caffeine anyway.
Oh, well, you know me. During the day, I need caffeine just to sit up straight. So that the girl that I'm working with tried to ask me a couple of questions during the day, and I finally had to fess up that I hadn't had any caffeine, and that's why I wasn't making any sense. And so she left me alone after that. And then a couple hours later, she comes and she just puts a cup of coffee on my desk and says, "Don't talk, drink."
Drink so I can have a conversation with you. That's intelligent.
She had gone to Starbucks, gotten me a cold brew.
Nice. Oh, nice.
It
They know
saved
you
the
so
day.
well.
Yeah, well, I'm not kidding when I say I need caffeine to function if the sun is out.
You do. And it is now 8:01, so kick in your caffeine, sister.
All right, let's do this thing here. Okay. So, hello, everybody, and welcome. It is, of course, as always, lovely to have you here this evening. We hope you're having a good Tuesday and that you are definitely getting the caffeine that you need. For anybody who was catching the pre-show, we were comparing caffeine stories. Anyway, so tonight we are going to talk about the challenges of dealing with sales and marketing when you're a BA. There is some upside, there are some downsides, and there are some internal wars you just don't want to be a part of. But before we go there, let's say hi to the nice people out there. My name is Kathleen Sinnott, and my co-pilot is
Marianne Morrison. Hi, everybody.
And together we are the BA Zone. We are here to provide interesting stories, help answer questions, generally help out our fellow BAs out there on everything from, requirements gathering, surviving interpolitic wars, doing things that are maybe outside of your job scope normally, like user experience, user design, user interface design, all that kind of good stuff. So we are here for you. If you ever have any questions, comments, if you have a topic you'd like us to cover, please feel free to reach out to us. We are nice people most days. And you can reach us in all of the usual places. You can find us on Periscope, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you name it, we're there for you. So we also have our own website, thebazone.com. So pick your favorite, reach out, let us know what we can help you with, and we will be very, very happy to do that for you. Alrighty, are we ready to dive in on this one?
Well, yeah, sure. And I just wanted to add, if you're not a BA, if tonight you happen to be sales or marketing, and if you have any questions on how to work with a BA, also call in.
Or if you have opinions.
It might come from the opposite. Who are your minions? Yeah.
We got some feedback on Instagram, I think it was today, about the post for the show today. So hopefully some of those folks will be able to join us at some point too. All right, so before I do that, I just realized I did not double check on Periscope to make sure that we've got the comment grabber working. And since that is the one place where people can't just make comments later, let me make a effort to get that working.
And Kathleen's going to be driving tonight. And I'll be co-piloting tonight.
Considering the hour and 20 minutes of traffic I was in today, I don't know if anybody wants me driving anything, but we'll give it a try. All right, Periscope. I have the comment catcher up, so hopefully this will work for us tonight. But, you know, if we miss something, feel free to hit us up on Twitter or the website or whatever works for you. All right, so let us go back to this and get started with our party. So, I don't know why. Now, see, I told you. So okay, full disclosure, our setup kind of blew up over the weekend, and now every time I change screens, Mare, I'm losing your mic. So if you're going to talk, you might just want to give it like half a second while I catch that. Again, okay. Don't know why. I've got all the settings exactly the same as mine. I don't know why that would be happening. Except that technology was fighting back, and I kind of lost a little.
And it's a live show, so God knows what's going to happen.
Exactly. It keeps it exciting, right? It's like going to the circus or going to a fight and a hockey game breaks out, you know, that kind of thing.
That's right. So if you hear crickets from me, just give it a minute.
Yeah, that just means that I forgot to hit the magic button again. All right, so before we go in, I'm assuming most people who have worked in a corporate environment probably already know this, but just to cover all the bases, let's talk about who does what in marketing and in sales, okay? So marketing, as a global definition, is the action or business of promoting and selling products or services, including market research and advertising. Now, most marketers would say that it's a much bigger scope than that, and they'd probably be right, because their jobs tend to be very different depending on their environment and their office and all that, but just as a general description, we'll work with that. And then sales, for the purposes of our discussion, is going to refer to the team responsible for the operations and activities involved in promoting and selling goods or services. So, right away, I'm sure you see a bit of an overlap, right? Because they both talked about marketing and promotion and that kind of thing. And this is where some of the confusion sometimes comes between those two teams, between other people in the company and all that kind of stuff, because if they're both doing promotion, why is it separate departments? Why are there different points of view? All that kind of good stuff. There's actually a reason for that. When they say promotion, it's a true thing, but there's a slight difference in the scope of the promotion that one does over the other. So let's take sales, for example. Sales is focused on today. They want to sell you something today. They are going to make their numbers off of it. That's how they get paid. All of the relationships that they work on, build on, are all focused on what do you need today? What can we help you today? Marketing focuses on that, but they also take the longer view. So not only are they interested in getting the word out there about what is available today for you to purchase, what services are available, what have you, but they are also taking the longer view. So they're also looking down the road a bit to see they identify the trends for today, but what are the trends that are on the way, and what are the things we need to prepare for, and where is our market going, and where do we need to go with our product and service. So that's why all the definitions that you find for both sound like they're overlap, but when you really think about what they're doing, it really does have a very different scope to it. And some of that actually can be the cause of some problems. But let's cover that as we go on here. So, for the sales and the marketing folk, what are their focus? What are their goals? So as we talked about, a little bit here, they are both in charge of promotion. They both are very focused about the numbers for the company. For sales, it's all about the bottom line. It's all about the dollars and cents. That's where their focus is. That's what their livelihood is based on. For marketing, it's, again, a little bit of a bigger scope. Absolutely, of course, they're concerned about the bottom line and the money coming in. But they're also concerned about market reach and how well is our company known, and what are our approval numbers, and what are our, what do they call it? I don't know, what's the opposite of What's the opposite of an approval number, Mary? Do you know? I've never thought about that until just a second. There must be an opposite of approval numbers.
It's
Detractors?
the use, maybe the you suck number. I'm not quite sure.
I like that. That's
It's either the
very
approval or
clear.
you kind of suck.
That works for me.
You know, there's
So
so
that,
many acronyms and so many names out there.
but I like
Uh,
that. That's one of the things that neither one of these teams tends to do. They tend to not speak in clear, definitive sentences like that. They tend to be a little bit buzzwordy and a little bit fuzzy and leaving themselves wiggle room, which is great for the work that they do, but a complication when we have to work with them because we need them to be very clear and focused. And we need to not, we can't document fuzzy. We need to document hard facts and hard goals so that these are things that can be built and measured and all that kind of good stuff. So that is one of the areas where we start to run into a little bit of a problem. Let's see what else. I'm just checking my. Yes, okay. It looked like we'd frozen, but we didn't. It was an illusion. Okay, let's get back to their focus and goals. So when we are interacting with marketing and the sales teams, it's usually because one or the other has gotten wind of something that we're working on, or there's something that they want us to work on that they don't think we're giving the proper attention to. And in both cases, they might be right. But it is a delicate situation when you're dealing with them. They're different from like the stakeholders or the business owners or that type of thing, in that they do tend to approach us like what we do is magic. They seem to think that very often, what they need needs to be done yesterday. And while that's true of everybody, given the fact that they're fuzzy and not so necessarily focused on the same goals as maybe the business and the stakeholders, it can be a big source of confusion and frankly arguments a lot of the time. The other thing that sometimes happens is that one or the other or both of them will come to us when they're fighting. And you do not want to be in the middle of that fight because it is not something that you're going to win. So, for example, if marketing has decided that the company needs to be doing something because of a change in market trends, or they found an opening that could catapult the company forward, obviously they're going to be very excited about that. They're going to want to move very quickly on it. Sales, however, because of their today focus, may not be so enthusiastic about that approach. Or the flip side is maybe they're okay with that approach, but they see a now issue that needs to be resolved now, and so they're trying to push marketing out of the way to get their thing in. We are, unfortunately or fortunately sometimes, not the big decision makers. This is one of the times where that is fortunate because you can say to the two of them, great, give me all the information and let's go talk to the decision makers and let them make that judgment call. Because like I said, you just don't want to be caught in the crossfire of their internal wars. There's no win for us on that. So you might as well just stay out of it. I saw you smiling, Mayor. Do you have a story along those lines, or?
No, I think when I think about marketing and sales, I think sometimes you were just talking about how marketing sales may have an idea, or marketing on trends and whatever, and sometimes some of the leaps in what we do in software and that can come from marketing. It typically doesn't. It typically comes from executives that want to make some type of change, and marketing sort of gets in there and tries to drive their area. And sometimes I look at sales like we do with developers, is that if they hear something's coming down the pike, they want to sell it immediately. Like a developer wants to just start coding without requirements. Well, sales sometimes will sort of get us into trouble as well. Most of the time they're a lot closer to the client than marketing is. They're dealing with the client every day, so sometimes they'll start to promote something that hasn't even been fully fleshed out yet. So we just have that other area too. I honestly, as far as dealing with the marketing, and that's really why Kathleen, I think you might have more experience in the marketing. Almost every project I was on, there wasn't really a marketing team that I was aware of. We were the marketing team for the client. So I guess I'm a party, from that perspective, we were BAs and we were marketing to the client type of thing. So that's where you didn't have a marketing department. So I think you have more experience with marketing departments than I do at this point, because I was it. Right?
Well, yeah, and that's why I have this point of view. I won't call it insight, but I will call it a point of view about dealing with marketing and sales teams, because a lot of times they tried to pull us into the middle of their wars, and I just didn't want to be there. I just, it wasn't that I don't care, I do care. Well, and wasn't that maybe their ideas weren't valid, they were. It's just that it was a pointless war, and it just kept going on, because at some point somebody had stepped on somebody's toes, and it just kept escalating, and that neither one of them would ever let go. It's like, okay, you know what, I don't have time for this. I have got a lot of work to do, so you guys go fight in your corner, because I just can't be there right now.
That's when a project manager comes in handy too.
Right,
Or the
if
project manager
they're
that
willing to
way,
step
and
up.
yeah, let them get that decision made. But you're absolutely right. The decision is not ours to be made anyway.
Right.
It could be sort of, that's how you deal with that.
Yeah, there sometimes there's a lot of, well, they'll call it team building. I'll call it, you've got a term for this, and I can't remember it right now. When they're trying to build their little fiefdoms. But that's what was going on. They were all trying to go out and recruit to build, their support teams so that they could do their next attack. And it's like, no, I'm not interested in being a soldier in your war. It is not going to help our goals here. I will say, sometimes I will come down a little bit more on the side of marketing, only because they tend to have more data to back up what they're looking for, because they've got, not only the financials, but they've also got, the market numbers, and they've got, client surveys, and they've got, trend reports and all that kind of stuff. Whereas the salespeople really are just focused on making their sales. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it doesn't give some of their decisions as much weight, especially when you've got individual salespeople coming, to you saying, okay, I heard you're working on, project XYZ, but, my client, one client needs this one little thing, which was actually this big, but they're always like, oh no, it's just this one little thing, but they really need it, and they need it right away, and it's really important. They're an important client. Well, all clients are important. It's like, okay, again, we're not getting into this game. If this is important and it needs to happen, then you need to go through the process, and let's not play these games. And that's, where you also have to keep an eye on things, especially if you don't have a project manager, or if your project manager is stretched too thin, because again, if they don't get the answer they're looking for from you, they may do an end run on the developers, like Mary was talking about, and that is also not going to end well for anybody. So it can be a challenge. Now, the upside of it is that they can also have great insight, and they can also, when maybe your whole team, working on this project is kind of looping on something, because everybody thinks that, this, that, or the next thing is a great idea, and maybe they all are, but you can only work on one. So that's when you can turn to sales and marketing and, say to them, keep it focused, but you can say to them, look, we're looking at these three things. We can only do one. Do you have any numbers that will help us figure out which is the next best thing we should do? And if they do have that, that's great, because that helps the decision along, and it also helps your relationship with them, because by the virtue of you going to them and asking for that help and then acting on that help, they feel more a part of the overall process. Because that's another thing that nobody likes, but particularly I find sales and marketing people, if they're feeling shut out, frankly, they can get pissy really fast. And I say this, with all of them, we're all on the same team, we're all pointing the same direction, but, some things bother some people more than others. And this tends to be one I find that you just don't want to do if you can avoid it. The more you can keep them included, the more you can give them very specific requests and get very specific data back, the better off the project will be.
And I agree with you too on that point of getting very specific data. And honestly, if you can be, a lot of times BAs are the go-between between IT and key stakeholders or users, but you could also be the go-between marketing and sales in a way. I mean, I know you don't want to get too involved with that. However, if you want a certain solution and you want to push a certain solution, the best way to do that is to get marketing to quantify that, and then give that data to sales, because again, sales is dealing with the intimate relationship with the client. So if they have something that they can sway the client using really good, quantified data, that's a win-win for everyone. So there's a way of using getting that, well, I don't want to say using them, but getting their help in really expanding the client's viewpoint and sort of swaying it towards your viewpoint. That's always a good thing. And that's all I'll say about that, Kathleen.
Fair enough. Just give me 1 second here. I just need to do a quick boost of this. Sorry. Oh, that's what I was afraid of. Come on, there you go. I know you can do this. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, well, since we're already on a break here, see, there we go. I lost your mic again. There we go.
That's okay. It's a good thing.
So since I've taken a break here because I had to, I just want to remind everybody out there that if you need to reach us, if you have any comments or questions, if there's anything that we can provide to you, you can always reach out to us. We are on Twitter, on Instagram, Periscope, Facebook, YouTube, and we also have a website, thebazone.com. So you can always feel free to reach out. Let us know if you have questions, if you have a topic you want us to cover, anything at all like that, feel free. We are always available to help you, and actually that's why we're here. That's why we're doing all of this, is because we want to help out people who are in our world here who may not have the resources that we've been lucky enough to have, and so we're here to share what we have learned over the many, many years. Oh, that was interesting. Where did that come from? Not sure if that went over the mic or not, but my machine just made funny noises. So that's that. And then I also want to invite you to sign up for our mailing list. That is where we first let everybody know about things that are coming up, new shows, that kind of thing. We are completely respectful of the fact that you are giving us your email address. We will not share it. We will not do anything with it other than communicate to you the information that we are sharing and giving you the inside line on what's going on. You'll always hear the new stuff first if you sign up for the mailing list. All right. Did I forget anything, Mayor?
Nope, you're good.
Okay. So, I got the wrong screen up and I've got things over it that don't need to be there. There we go. And somehow that's why that made that noise. Okay, I guess we'll have to do it that way since it's not changing back now. Okay, that's fine. We'll just go with the flow because that's how things need to be. All of a sudden it's not in present mode. Any idea why?
No idea. You must have. I don't know. Did a part of your anatomy touch a key it shouldn't have?
It was more than possible. It's absolutely possible. Let's blame the dog. I just paid for his very expensive haircut, so let's blame him.
Well, go back to you anyway. You're more important anyway.
I'm more important. I don't think I've ever heard that sentence before. Okay,
it's a Feel Good Tuesday.
Okay, so why is this important? So obviously it's important that the whole team get along. It's important that you're working with the best possible information. But it's also important for you to remember that, sales and marketing are coming at things from a very special point of view. And that it's not bad, it's not good. It just is different. And so you just need to kind of keep that in the back of your head as you're getting that information so that you can weigh it a little bit. Because you're going to weigh that probably a little bit differently than you would your stakeholders and your business owners. But that said, they can be a fantastic resource for information. They can be very helpful about helping to decide between, equally good features or new products. So you do want to make sure that, they are included in that process because they are definitely in touch and monitoring things on a daily basis. And, while you're certainly, in touch with all that stuff too, you're also focused on other things where this is 100% of their focus every day. Now, again, you do have to keep in mind that the sales team will tend to be a little bit more focused on their current clients, and maybe, ones that they have in the pipeline that they're just about to convert over. Whereas marketing is going to be a more market-driven approach to things, a more market-driven view of things. So their focus, is going to probably be to kind of, balance out the sales team from that standpoint, but also they may be looking at things that are more high level than some of the stuff that we're going to be working on. And they may not always see, either team may not see the value of some of the more detailed back in, roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty kind of work that we have to do sometimes. So, for example, I have yet to run into a sales or marketing team that gets really excited about the idea of spending some time refactoring old code. Now, we understand, for those of us working in software, that sometimes you have to do that. You can't keep building a legacy code forever, despite the fact that many people seem to think you can. But sooner or later, you have to go back and you have to refactor it to bring it back up to speed, to bring it back up to current standards, because otherwise it could hamper what you're trying to do down the road. But that's always going to be a hard sell as far as getting people excited when you're talking to sales and marketing, because it's just not their thing. So that's what I mean by, you kind of have to weigh what they're saying, what their reaction is to things. Just because they don't react super positively to something doesn't mean that it's not valuable, that it shouldn't be done. You just have to, weigh their reaction against what it is that you're looking to do. The other thing to keep in mind, so, sometimes, and I'm going to bring Mara up for this because we do this a lot. So a lot of times as we're working on projects, and when we're in the situation, or maybe we're early on in the project and we're just starting to, gather requirements, or if we've hit a point where nobody seems exactly sure about, a particular direction to take, we're big fans of doing surveys, talking to customers to see what their reactions are, to see what their feedback is, to see if they can very clearly give us some direction, without us, saying to them, if you tell us what you want, we're going to give you exactly that, because that's a bad idea too. But a lot of times you will get massive pushback from a marketing department and or the sales team about talking to their clients. And I do that on purpose because they do start to see the clients that way. They do start to get a little possessive of them. And there's a reason for that. They are building, and a lot of times, personal relationships with certain people in the company. They may get to know them over years. Salespeople in particular, because again, their income is based on their sales. So they are very, very guarded about anybody talking to, interacting with their clients. But we need to talk to those folks sometimes, whether it's a informal survey, whether we're doing a phone survey, whatever we're doing. There are times when we might need to reach out to them. Maybe we're going to reach out to them to do some prototype testing or whatever. I don't think I have ever tried to do this that I didn't have a sales and or marketing person's head explode, that they didn't push back, yell, scream, insist on being there. Now, at first that might sound like that's an okay thing, but it's actually a problem, because when you have those people in the room, when you're trying to collect data, it will skew the information you get back, because they're used to having a conversation with these people. And what I usually do is I go and I present myself as, a neutral third party, because I am. I don't have a dog in the race. I'm not going to make, my salary is not tied to the sale of this particular thing at a certain quantity. But when you start to include these other people, just through, even if they're on their best behavior and they're trying really hard not to skew the data, they will, through smiles, little twitches, or they'll just, you'll ask a client a question and the salesperson or the marketing person will answer for them. So as much as you have to fight this tide, you do have to stick to your guns on that particular one. When you need to collect clean data from the clients, from the users, you do not want these other people in the room. The only thing I've ever found to be at all successful is to offer them the chance to, if you can do it, if you've got the money to do it in a real testing facility with one-way glass and all that, to let them watch someplace where they can't be heard. And if you can't do that, then as much as I can, I try to get the people I'm talking to record, let me record it so that I can show them that video, whether it's just audio or video. Again, that's got pros and cons to it, because people tend to react a little bit differently when they know they're being recorded, but it's better to deal with that than it is to deal with these people in the room who might then make all of your efforts useless because they then dirty the data. I know a lot of the surveys that we've done, maybe we didn't necessarily have pushback from like sales and marketing on our side, but didn't we have some, I thought there was a couple of times where like the client was like, we were going to go to their clients and they wanted us to go through their marketing department, or was that someplace wasn't us working? Yeah, sometimes I cross our worlds.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've had a couple of situations where we were dealing with other teams on a client side. It was our teams and their teams, and we were trying to come together on certain things. But I mean, I think you're absolutely right. Bringing in marketing or sales into those type of meetings can be a little difficult. And one of the top reasons that I find is that, like you said, they will answer for the client because they sort of work with the client. But the other issue is that they're used to
They're helping.
talking. They're helping, but they're used to talking at a different level. It's almost like when you listen to sales and marketing, I want to say it's a rhetoric, but it's sort of like a higher level. It's not a detailed level discussion typically. It's sort of very high level. Are you comfortable? Are you this or that? So what I find that works as a business analyst, if you're going into a situation like this, you can set up a first few initial meetings and just be the fly on the wall. Just get in there with the marketing or sales team, or whoever you're dealing with. And then as you start to have a relationship, talk to the person. Hopefully you sit in different seats so you can start to talk to the client, a client person who might be sitting next to you, a stakeholder. Try to form even a small kernel of a relationship and say, do you think I can call you? And
Right.
it doesn't even have to be with marketing and sales. And you can even do you think I could sit with a user of a particular piece of software so I can just talk to you? Would you mind me surveying? You just have to start getting those relationships in. But if there's a problem right away, getting into those meetings, I mean, that's what you got to work on. And you have to kind of prove yourself invaluable to the marketing and the sales team. Because part of the problem that's going to happen is if you're developing a piece of software and you're getting, even if IT is getting requirements for marketing or sales, they are not going to be complete enough. They are just not. It's not going to be at the level that IT needs. So you have to sort of convince marketing by saying, and again, convincing them that it's their idea, or that um, you can help them. You are helping them. That's the idea. It's not a conflict thing. You're not trying to take power away. You are trying to help them by doing this. Little by little, they will give up control because they don't want to be doing it either. Marketing people want to be looking, like you said, at the marketing, at the industry, the trends that are going on. They don't want to be telling IT, to put that field there and make sure it's a required. They don't want to be doing that. So, and God forbid they're doing it, because they're
Right.
looking at it from that industry's perspective and not at the user level. And sales, the same thing goes for true. And if you happen to be marketing or sales that's watching this video, you want a business analyst. Trust me, you do. You don't want to be dealing with this, and you don't want to take the blame for anything that goes wrong with it either. You want to
Right.
keep yourself separate. So
Well,
so
and it's
yeah,
good,
so
to have the trust. I mean, we're members of the same
right,
team. We do have the same goals, and that's particularly with the salespeople. That's a big thing because, well, I have the relationship, and they're my customer, and I'm not going to have you mess that up. And it's like, no, that's not my goal either. I just need
right,
to make sure that we are building the best possible solution for all of our customers. And a lot of times, the salespeople are the ones that dig in their heels a little bit more. But if you can win the battle with marketing, sometimes then that will help to balance that out, and kind of encourage the sales team to give up that control. The problem with marketing is we have a clear brand and we have to keep our voice, and we can't have anybody else talking to the clients because you won't keep the same voice. And it's like, understood. But we are not going to do anything about the brand or your marketing voice or anything else. We are, again, trying to build the best possible solution for our customers so that you can be out there selling it. And I just keep coming back to that over and over, because it's the kind of thing, it seems like I have to say it 100 times before it finally gets in, because there's some part of their brain that is screaming so loudly they don't hear it the first 99 times.
it's kind of like that one friend you had, like in high school, that was like, well, if you're not going to be just my friend alone, then forget it. I'm
Yeah.
not going to be your friend. And that's kind of the way it is. It's like, they're my client and only my client. That's kind of that one crazy friend that you had. Yeah, they got to kind of get over that. You got to help them get over it.
Right. And that's the thing. It's a process just like anything else. And while, I understand, timelines are tight and you don't have enough staff and you just don't have the time for it, you got to make the time for this, because this is going to get to be a bigger problem if you don't handle it well right from the beginning. So you definitely want to give it the time it's going to take that deep breath, and deal with it, so that it will all work out in the end. The other reason to make sure that you are building this very good relationship. Is not just to help you, as far as a data standpoint, but it will also help you maybe catch things before they spin out of control. A lot of times, sales and marketing, this is one that they share, will get excited about a new thing that they've heard we're working on. And they will start, maybe firing up the engines a little bit before they should. Or they will misinterpret something that they think is coming and start pushing it and promoting it and everything, and that's not what's coming. So by building that good relationship, you'll have sort of an ear to the ground so that you can catch these things before they get out to the public, which is a win for everybody. Ideally, if you get to have a really good relationship with them, they'll even talk to you about the stuff that they're planning to do and kind of trust you, to do a sanity check on it before they do it. If you get to that point, you have done your job well, because now you've got a great relationship with them. You're catching things before it goes out wrong, before people are misinterpreting your project. And that, because the worst thing you want to do is spend all this time, build the greatest solution, get it out the door perfect, have, great QA done on it and everything, and then have the industry be disappointed because marketing promised them unicorns and you gave them a horse. There's nothing wrong with a horse. A horse is what they asked for, but marketing said it was a unicorn, and the sales department said it was unicorns with 2 horns. So,
Yes.
again, it's keeping everybody on track. It's, they sound like maybe not something a BA should do, and that may be true, but I will also tell you that 80% of the time, that's who ends up doing it. So it's better to just suck it up and face the reality.
And if you can get them in any way, I mean, a good way to try to get marketing and sales on your side is to go to them and say, could we have a meeting with the client? Could we have a pre-meeting before we go to the client? We used to do a lot of pre-meetings where everybody, who's ever going to the client gets in a little meeting and says, okay, what are we going to do? What is the approach going to be? And you can say that very innocently from a BA to get the ball rolling, to say, I don't want to misspeak. I don't want to say the wrong thing. So can we have a little meeting, so that I don't do that, and, try to get yourself invited first. But I mean, or set up a client meeting and then invite them, the marketing and sales as well, to say what should and shouldn't I do with this particular client, or what would be the approach. And that's just a very professional way of handling it also, so that they know that they feel like you're being inclusive and you're not going to screw up in any way, hopefully. And I can't hear you, Kathleen.
There we go. That's probably better, huh?
Go.
Yeah, amazing how that
said
works.
Something brilliant. You said something brilliant. No one caught it.
I did. Oh, now I've forgotten what it is. Oh, well, you'll have to come back next week. Actually, I think that has pretty well covered it. I'm just doing the last check here, but I think we have hit all of the high points. Pretty good. Didn't run too far over, considering the way I like to prattle on. So, did I skip anything that you wanted to cover? Is there anything you want to add before we wrap this up?
No, I think that's a good generic, sort of an overall view of the issues between marketing and sales. And obviously, you're going to come up with a lot of things in your career to deal with, but this hopefully will set you up a little bit easier. And if you have any further questions, drop us a line, at thebazone.com, and catch us everywhere else. Anything else from your side, Kathleen?
Before I let everybody go, I did want to remind you to follow, like us, and set up the notifications. We're on whatever platform you like. That way you'll always be up to date on what we're doing and when we're going live. Also, it will help us to get some of the extra functionality that we need to do some of the other cool stuff, especially on YouTube and Facebook. The other thing is that next week is actually a bonus week, because we usually set up these shows, a month in advance to do 4 shows, but in May, there's 5. So, next week, a bonus. We like bonuses. So next week, we're going to talk about building the perfect BA. And basically what we're going to talk about, we talked a little bit before, we'll get into it again next week a little bit, but I want the focus to be really about what makes a good BA, what kind of person, what kind of people seem to do really well in this job. So I'm sure Mara's got ideas about it, and I certainly do. So we'll go back and forth on that. Like I said, it'll be a little bit about the skills, but that's not going to be the focus. It's really going to be about the kind of people that seem to do really well in this job. Because I'll give you a little preview. For what it's worth, I think that people who are really good at their jobs are good at them for a reason. I think some people are wired to be developers, some people are wired to do QA. Same thing with us. So that will be next week. We will be there Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, just like always. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, comments, problems, you're just curious about something, feel free to reach out. We are available in all of the usual places. And we are more than happy. I probably should take myself out of that picture. There we go. We are more than happy to reach out to you and with answers. If you need a fast answer, we will certainly get right back to you. Otherwise, we will include it in the next show, or we'll do a whole show around it. We've done that several times with people's questions, so don't be shy.
Right. And we appreciate you all coming by and taking the time to spend time with us. We know how valuable your time is, and we're just happy that we get here, that the traffic allows us to get here home so we can get on the air in time. So
this
tonight
is true.
was a little challenging, but we do appreciate you coming by, and thank you very much, everyone, for your support.
Have a good one.
So take care, everyone.